Into the wide receivers, as I mentioned before, we have a flex position, so the lower ones are a bit more relevant, but all four of my guys here are pretty high. Let me know what you think of these takes. So my riser of the week is DJ Moore. Everyone's pretty high on this guy now, so I'm sort of late to the party, but he has a really, really good fixture coming up. He's clearly Darnold's number one target. He has 31% target share in the red zone. He's been targeted 10 plus times in his last three matches, and a lot of his points came in the junk time against the Cowboys, but as fantasy owners, we don't really mind where the points come. We just want them. So, yeah, I definitely think he's a top 10 option right now. And I don't know, people might still not be clued onto that who aren't that into fantasy. So maybe you can get him maybe undervalued. But yeah, DJ Moore's just absolutely killing the game right now. And yes, McCaffrey comes back this week, which might mean they run the ball a little bit more than they pass. But ultimately, with his percentage of target share, especially in that red zone, it bodes really well for his fantasy scoring this year. Next up, this is a guy who I really liked last week and this week as well, Brandon Cooks. I know Houston's sort of a team that no one really wants to touch with a barge pole right now, but Davis Mills probably only has 1 to 2 more weeks under center. Tyrod Taylor could come back, and even if he doesn't, what often happens to a lot of these, lesser ability, not saying he's crap, but like players who aren't playing at the highest level, the offensive coordinators sort of shorten down the playbook and they just let them target 1 or 2 receivers. And I think that's where Brandon Cooks is going to come to the fore. 27% target share in the red zone, which is brilliant for a guy who across the whole field has a pretty high target share. So to combine that with the high target share in the red zone is really promising. He's averaging 18 points at the moment, and that's with 2.5 matches from Davis Mills, who you'd think is targeting on quite a few occasions where the throw is not really catchable. So, yeah, we really like to see that for Brandon Cooks. He's someone who's sort of slept on all the time in fantasy. I had him in the back end of last year, and he was really, really good for me. And I just think if Tyrod Taylor comes back, all of a sudden this offense starts to put up points again, and he could be a real good option in your flex or your wide receiver 2 position. Fallers, I've got CD Lamb. I had this guy really high at the start of the season, as most did, but yeah, similar reasons to Dak Prescott, as I explained before. I'll just sort of say again what I said for Dak Prescott, because some people might just be watching the wide receiver section, but they've had less than 30 passing attempts in the last 3 games, respectively. Last week, they ran it 8 times in the red zone, only threw it 3 times. Their defense has improved on last year, so there's going to be less shootouts. CD Lamb specifically has only had 8 targets in his last 2 games, which is really, really poor for someone who we thought could have been a wide receiver 1. And especially Gallup might be back this week or next week, so that looks like I don't know where the targets come from, really. So it's really concerning. Cedric Wilson's also playing pretty well. So, yeah, at the moment, I think there's just too many mouths to feed, a bit like Tampa in Dallas, and I'm not that high on any of them at the moment except for Ezekiel Elliott. So, yeah, I'd be steering clear personally, and I think a lot of them have big name value and they play for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys get a lot of primetime games, so I think they're often overvalued. But yeah, for me, I'm not a fan of CD Lamb right now. My other faller is Deandre Hopkins. In his 4 games so far this season, he hasn't had more than 8 targets yet, which is just really concerning. This is a guy who we expect to have 10 plus almost every week, and the Cardinals are absolutely humming on offense. And you'd think that would pair with a lot of ball to Hopkins, and it doesn't look that way. They're also running it a lot in the red zone, which is a real concern. And something else that I really don't like is Rondale Moore's only going to get better as the year goes on, so he's probably going to see more targets. And AJ Green's going to get more comfortable in this system, and he's probably going to see more targets as well. So, there's only so many people who can get more targets as the year goes on, and eventually you have to say who gets less. And I'm not saying Hopkins is going to get less, but people who are saying, he's just going to return back to his 13, 14 target form pretty soon, I don't quite see where that math adds up. And in saying that, I'm sure he'll score 60 this weekend, and you can all laugh at me, but yeah, right now I'm just really concerned about DeAndre Hopkins.
It's a miracle! Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.